The Buffalo Bills dropped their preseason opener 33-6 to the Chicago Bears. I'm sharing my top takeaways today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, folks, you waited for it. Bills football is back, and boy, oh boy, did they lay an egg to open up the 2024 preseason. 33 points given up, 6 points scored, 8 sacks allowed, multiple dropped passes, airmailed throws. We've got shanked punts. We've got muffed kick returns. We have a fair catch inside the 5-yard line, 200 yards of offense, and oh, by the way, 11 penalties. Folks, that was ugly. But I implore you to be reminded that it's a preseason game. Take it for what it is. Obviously, you want to play better. You want to make some dynamic plays, but it's preseason. So let's talk about it. And I want to start just before I hit record on the podcast here. I listened to Sean McDermott, and he was perturbed, and he should be. His football team looked bad. And I can appreciate the way he talked about it and said, look, our standard is the standard, whether it's a preseason game, no matter what, we have a certain standard of play that we expect, and that wasn't it. And so he took, certainly acknowledged that it was a sluggish game. He did say that the team came out okay with injuries, which is great news. That's one of the main objectives of preseason football, is to not get injured, and Sean McDermott said they came out okay. He highlighted that Tyler Bass made both of his field goals, one on each end of the field. He complimented the early red zone defense, but of course the standard wasn't met. I will add, though, if you're looking for bright spots, we don't have many of them. We'll talk about it. We're going to get into each of the position groups. I want to share with you what stood out to me. But I thought one of the bright spots from this game was the 2 plays that the Bills challenged and won. Sean McDermott, very poor challenge record throughout his time as head coach of the Bills. In fact, among the active coaches that have challenged a play in the NFL, he's second worst in terms of win percentage. The only one worse than him is Mike McDaniel for the Miami Dolphins. And so the Bills went out and they hired John Perry, who's a longtime NFL referee, to help with the challenges and other things, but the challenge is obviously a big part of his job. And the Bills go 2 for 2. And I'll be honest with you, watching the game live, I didn't think to myself on either occasion that, wow, that's a play that the Bills need to take a look at. It felt like they were pretty clean plays in both instances, but obviously whatever operation is in place worked for this game. So little round of applause for that bright spot. All right, let's get into it. What I want to do is have this conversation by looking at each position group and kind of sharing what stood out to me. Now, look, our next conversation is the big one. That's the all-22 review. I'm going to spend Sunday in the tape, and then our conversation on Monday will be the all-22 review, where I'll be able to really give you definitive statements about the game after studying it. So these are my takeaways after just watching the game live, just like you did. All right, so at quarterback, obviously Josh Allen comes in. He plays one series and then like half of another series, so didn't even get 2 full series. He goes 2 for 3 for 22 yards, had a 7-yard rushing attempt to convert that third down, and then he was yanked right when the second quarter started. 3 pass plays, one a completion to Khalil Shakir, the other one a completion to Curtis Samuel on a perimeter screen, which was a fun play. It was nice yards after catch, and I thought it was a good contrast if you consider how often the Bills ran that play to Stephon Diggs last year. And, Stephon Diggs is a great player, but he wasn't good for that play. You could see just Curtis Samuel, when he hits the accelerator, he's got easy juice. He gets going, and that was a very productive play. And the other passing attempt was incomplete. The ball was batted down by Tremaine Edmonds of the Bears, and I put that on James Cook. James Cook was in pass protection. He picked the wrong gap. Tremaine Edmonds comes free, and the ball gets batted down. Mitchell Trubisky comes in, and boy, was he not that good. I was pretty unimpressed with Mitchell Trubisky, in particular the slow trigger that he had. I thought there were some pretty easy reads, whether it was soft zone coverage, whether it was a blitz look, where the ball had a very obvious place where it should go, and I thought he was very slow getting to those spots. He should have had a touchdown pass on the seam shot to Quentin Morris. That thing was wide open right down the seam. He airmails the ball, and then he gets down there to the red zone, the low red zone, and he forces 2 to Keon Coleman. The Bills have to settle for a 24-yard field goal. I thought he had some good scrambles and some good rushing attempts, but I thought his execution of the passing game was pretty poor. And then Shane Buechele comes in, and yikes, right? That was a disaster. The guy's just running around in circles. I mean, literally just getting the ball and running around in circles, like pirouetting in the pocket, dude. Like, it was ugly. Missing throws. Now, he hit a few checkdowns that produced some yards after catch, but I mean, it was tough to watch Shane Buechele. And I thought between Trubisky and Buechele, I thought their pocket management was very poor from this football game. I want to talk next about the offensive line. And of course, preseason, there's no game planning. You're not running your best plays. I get all of that, but there wasn't any space for these running backs to work with. None. So you're getting no push in the run game. And then you give up 8 sacks. Wasn't a great day for the Bills' offensive line, obviously. The Bills' running back, so take away the scrambles, because the Bills had some good scrambles from all 3 quarterbacks. But you take those out, and the Bills' running backs go 19 rushes for 36 yards. That's terrible. James Cook, 4 rushes for 2 yards. Ray Davis, 5 rushes for 2 yards. Gross. Like I mentioned, the Bears had 8 sacks. Now, I will say, I thought a lot of that was coverage sacks and poor pocket management by the quarterbacks. Tylan Grable did give up a soft edge. He was at right tackle when the second-team offensive line came in. He gave up a soft edge that was a quick win for the Bears defense. But I thought for the most part it was pocket management and the way the quarterbacks kind of were holding onto the ball and inviting some coverage sacks to them. Thought it was notable, the groupings. The starting offensive line was what you would expect it to me, but the second group was left tackle Ryan Vandemark, left guard Lyle Collins, center was Alec Anderson, right guard Will Clapp, right tackle Tylan Grable. So I know the Bills listed Richard Garage as the second-team offensive tackle. That's not true. Tylan Grable continues to, in every observation I've had of this team, he continues to be the second-team right tackle. Third team was Tylan Grable to left tackle. Gunnar Britton comes in at left guard, Cedric Van Pran Granger at center, the right guard Kevin Jarvis, the right tackle Richard Garage. So not a great day for the Bills offensive line. I understand the context, but I think the root behind just not being able to run the ball was just not a ton of space. And so we'll check the all-22 review and have more to say on the offensive line. And maybe there were some bright spots. Maybe there were some very ugly moments, but you're getting one look at most of these plays from a sideline view. That's not going to give you a great opportunity to evaluate the offensive line, but you can look at the results and realize that it was not a strong day for any of the Bills' offensive line groupings. All right, I want to talk wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, defense, and more here on the other side of it. But first, I want to tell you about a new tradition that I'm going to be involved with. It's the Rally on the River at Buffalo River Works. It's going to happen Saturday, September 7th. That's the day before the Bills open the season against the Arizona Cardinals. The event kicks off at 12. It ends at 10 p.m., and this place is incredible. If you've not been to Buffalo River Works, you got to get down there. I've never seen any place like it. They've got a couple of skating rinks. They've got axe throwing. They've got zip lines, amusement park rides, kayaking, multiple bars, restaurant, big stage area. It is an incredible, incredible venue. and I'm going to be part of the Rally on the River Buffalo kickoff event. I'm going to do a live podcast there on Saturday, September 7th at 3 p.m. I go on, and I plan to spend most of my day there. So want to meet as many of you as possible, say hello, and, of course, do that live show, and I have some fun stuff cooked up for that. There's also going to be some other things going on. Chalk Fest is happening that day. That's a crazy cool event. They have all these chalk artists, people that can draw unbelievable things with chalk, and they do this in the grain silos, which is incredible. They're going to have a mechanical buffalo that you can ride. So you've seen people ride the bull. You can ride the buffalo. There's local buffalo vendors, food and drink specials, all kinds of stuff. So make us part of your kickoff weekend. Rally on the River, Buffalo River Works, Saturday, September 7th. The event is 12 to 10. I go on at 3 p.m. Would love for you to be there and would love for you to stick with me. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. One quick note here on the Rally on the River. I'm going to put a link in today's show notes for you to join the Facebook event. So click on the link, and then if you're going to go, which I hope you will, say that you're going, and then you'll get updates on the event, and you get to see even more about what's going to be happening that day. All right, let's continue recapping my top observations from this Bills preseason disaster against the Chicago Bears, 33-6 loss at Highmark Stadium. We talked quarterbacks and offensive line. For wide receivers, I thought your bright spots were a couple guys that you're happy to be bright spots, and Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir, 3 catches for 28 yards. Had a nice third down conversion, caught the ball over the middle of the field, was able to break a tackle, and you saw the speed. Don't sleep on Khalil Shakir's speed. The guy's got juice. He's a low 4.4 guy, and I thought you saw that on display. Curtis Samuel, 2 for 23, including that really nice yards after catch play on the perimeter screen from Josh Allen. I thought you saw some good yards after catch moments from Andy Isabella and Lawrence Keys. Those plays really popped. But what also popped were some drops. KJ Hamler, ball goes right through his hands. I mean, that could have been the best play of the day for the Bills offense. It goes right through his hands, and that's kind of been the issue with KJ Hamler. Very inconsistent hands. Marquez Valdes-Scantling with a drop goes right through his hands. Tyrell Shavers has a drop. Now, he did have a catch for 10 yards, but, 3 guys that are in competition for a roster spot, not catching the ball when they have an opportunity to do it. I know everyone wants to hear about Keon Coleman. I had 3 targets. The first one he caught. It was a third down conversion, off coverage, zone coverage against him. He runs a hinge route, was able to kind of push vertical, hinge back to the football, balls on the money. You get a conversion. That was a nice play. But then they get down to the red zone, and I thought they forced the ball to him twice. But obviously, I'll be studying all the Keon Coleman routes on the All-22 review, so I'll have more to say once I have the opportunity to do that on the Monday show. But I think collectively, you were maybe hoping for a little bit more here, but it probably stems from, okay, offensive line play was bad, quarterbacks were not playing well. There's a lot of things that have to go the right way for the receivers to catch the ball, but you don't want to see these drops from key players and Shavers, MVS, and KJ Hamler. As for the tight ends, Dalton Kincaid had that one kind of that outbreaking pattern. He caught that pass, but otherwise, I think about the plays that were there that the throws weren't. Quentin Morris was in position to make 2 really nice plays. One should have been a touchdown. Mitch Trubisky he got excited and just airmails the ball. And then had another instance where Quentin Morris is open in the middle of the field again, and Trubisky just didn't have enough air under the ball. It gets tipped, and Quentin Morris isn't able to catch that football. And then Zach Davidson was only targeted 1 time. The ball wasn't catchable. It was like a corner route, but didn't look like he was overly open, and certainly the ball wasn't in any position for him to make a play. I did notice that Zach Davidson got a fair amount of special teams reps, which matters quite a bit. Running backs obviously didn't have much space to work with in the run game. I thought that Ray Davis and Frank Gore, a couple of rookies, had their moments catching the football. Ray Davis had 3 catches for 19 yards, and his best play was called back. It was a catch along the sideline. It was a very good catch, and that play got negated due to a penalty. But I thought Ray Davis popped catching the football and had another one where caught the ball over the middle of the field, shakes off a tackler, and was able to convert for a first down. And then Frank Gore, not that he's out there running dynamic routes, but did have, was it 2 or 3 different times where Shane Buechele worked the ball down to him on a check down, and he was able to create some yards. So I'm going to watch the all-22 and kind of get a feel for what space was available and how much of this is offensive line, how much of this is running back. I'm guessing it's probably more offensive line, but not a ton of production there for the Bills running backs carrying the football. All right, I want to talk about the defense here. And just at a high level, I think it was kind of disappointing to watch the defense, and I'm looking for my notes here. The Bills defense gave up conversions, a 3rd and 12 early in the game, a 3rd and 6, a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 6 after a 2nd and 13. Like, I'm tired of these 3rd and longs. I don't want to make the 2024 Bills pay for the sins of the 2023 Bills. But when you got teams in long and late situations, get off the field. But it comes from, I just don't see the pass rush. Like, where is the pass rush? And I get it. Arguably, your best pass rushers, Von Miller, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, these guys aren't available. You're not scheming up anything. Like, I get it. But come on, man. Like, the pass rush is just not there. And you're seeing drives extended and plays that you have no business ever seeing because the Bills defense should get off the field. They just don't. And so I need that trend to go away quick. 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9, you got to get off the field. And the Bills are giving those up left and right. So with that out of the way, we could talk about the defense here. I want to start, of course, with the defensive line, the defensive tackles in particular. I thought the Bills' defensive tackles really struggled in this game. Really struggled. And, of course, no Daquan Jones. Ed Oliver plays one play, has a bit of a knee injury. He leaves. By all indications, he's fine. But then you start leaning into Austin Johnson and Dwayne Carter and Deshaun Williams. Gable Steveson gets some run. These guys didn't do anything. I thought there was very, very little interior push. And that's disappointing because I thought there were some instances where the Bills had some okay edge pressure. Just step up in the pocket, and these quarterbacks can escape. Plenty of space available. And just collectively, I just didn't see enough impact. I thought there were some technique issues with Dwayne Carter. We'll see. I'm going to watch the tape on that and feel better about it, but not engaging his hands. A couple instances of him, guys being able to snatch trap him and bury him. I want to kind of get a feel for that, but I don't think it was a good debut for Dwayne Carter. And obviously the expectations should be low for Gable Steveson. It's a dude's first ever football game. But boy, he had that one pressure, but otherwise he was lost. I mean, absolutely lost. Trying to diagnose run plays, looking in the backfield, standing straight up, getting pushed all over the field. There's some real rough instances for the Bills defensive tackles. So we'll study more on the all-22 review, but my initial impression from watching the game live was that it was a rough go for the defensive tackles. At defensive end, I thought there were some really good reps defending the run, some very, very firm edges, and that's important, right? You got to set firm edges, funnel runs back inside, back towards where all your help is, and not let them, get outside and win the corner. And I thought from A.J. Epinesa, from Dwan Smoot, from Cameron Klein in particular, you saw some really good run defense reps out of all 3 of those guys. Now, it didn't matter a lot of times because they'd run the ball in 1st and 10, and those guys would set a firm edge. It'd be 2nd and 11. The next thing you know, they're converting. So it was all for naught a lot of times, but I thought there was some impressive moments there. Javon Solomon had 2 nice run stops. And from what I can remember, he wasn't really blocked on either play, but that's actually pretty impressive to me. Obviously, you love to see a guy squeeze a gap, disengage a block, make a tackle. But for a guy who's kind of viewed as a designated pass rusher, to be able to come in some unblocked instances and feel it and not just get up the field and stay connected and be in his fit, I thought that was a really good job. And then I thought Kingsley Jonathan had some really nice pass rush juice as well. I thought when I was talking about there not being any interior push, I thought it in particular ruined some of Kingsley Jonathan's good edge pressure, but those guys can just step up and there's, easy to kind of escape that rush. But I thought Kingsley Jonathan showed some real juice as a pass rusher, and he was involved on a lot of special teams as well, including kickoff, which is going to be important. That's something I've kind of talked about in thinking that these reserve defensive ends, these kickoff plays, there's going to be a spot for them with how they're able to kind of be able to play with extension and disengage and set some firm edges and funnel runs. That's kind of what they do. And I thought that utilizing some of those guys on the kickoff team was pretty smart. All right, we got to talk linebackers, corners, safeties, special teams. All of that's here coming up here on the other side of it, so be sure to stick with me. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional with LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire. That'll get you matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. All right, folks, let's talk defensive back 7 and special teams. We'll start first with linebackers. And I think maybe linebackers were an overall bright spot for the defense. I thought they played pretty well. No Matt Milano. Matt Milano and Von Miller didn't play. Coach's decision there. They said for Matt Milano was part of the plan with his medical journey back to the field. They didn't want him to play. And then for Von Miller, I think they're just trying to manage his load in the preseason. Sean McDermott said after the game, historically, he's never even really played in the preseason. So they're just trying to be mindful of his reps, which makes sense. But I do think the linebackers played well. It felt like the best part of the defense. I thought Dorian Williams popped. And I'm excited to get into the tape and see how he was in coverage because that's my concern. But downhill, being physical, running to the ball, making tackles, had a tackle for loss. I thought Dorian Williams did a nice job. I thought Deion Jones made some plays. And, he's a veteran player, and he's playing in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. I'm sure he doesn't love that. But I thought he embraced the role. Sounded like he was a green dot player when he was on the field. And I thought he did a good job. He made some plays, looked fast, which is important because that's always kind of been the name of the game with Deion Jones. How about Joe Andreessen being able to make some tackles? I'm sure that was a special moment for him. Western New York native, getting a chance to play in the preseason and make some tackles. And I don't think there's a roster spot for him, but I think there's a practice squad spot for him, and that'd be a great gig for him, all things considered. Even Shane Simon, depth linebacker, I thought he had some flashy moments. So I thought collectively these linebackers made some plays. And when I think about what went wrong for the Bills defense, I don't really find myself thinking that the linebackers were part of the problem. At cornerback, I would say this. I don't think a whole lot really stood out to me in terms of performance. I mean, the Bears were 12 of 21 for 199 yards. It's not like they were lighting it up. But there wasn't any real standout plays in coverage where guys were challenged and made a play. I mean, I thought Cam Lewis had a really good pass breakup, but it was called back, which I thought it was a phantom call. That was kind of a standout play in coverage. But for the most part, didn't really get roasted, didn't really make any dynamic plays. I thought Rasul Douglas had a couple of nice tackles. I thought it was notable that it seemed like Daquan Hardy was playing some outside corner and Corey Couch was playing inside with the third grouping, which is interesting because you don't really think of Daquan Hardy at, was he 5'10", 180 pounds? You don't think about him playing outside, but good for him to show some versatility. And to Corey Couch is a guy that played a couple of seasons at Miami for the Bills defensive backs coach, Jamil Adai. And so that probably helps him be able to step into that role. But kind of interesting to see that development. I think with what's happened at safety, it's opened up some things in the slot because I think Cam Lewis is probably playing a little bit more back there. And it's opening up some opportunities for other guys in the nickel position. At safety, the All-22 is going to tell me a whole lot more. I mean, when you watch broadcast film, the safeties aren't even the screen most of the time. So I don't want to come in with like hot takeaways here. I do think that Kendall Williamson, the flag, the late hit that he had, not a fan of that. You can't have it. I mean, I don't think it was overly malicious, but you got to find a way to not make contact there. I mean, if you haven't picked up on that in the NFL over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I don't know what to tell you. But that's not a play that we need to be observing, especially in the preseason. I certainly don't like an unathletic tight end like Tommy Sweeney catching a pass down the seam where it feels like he got behind the safeties. So I'm sure there were some warts to pass along, but I want to study the tape before I go in on that. I know that there was some commentary about Taylor Rapp misidentifying the screenplay. We'll see. I want to look at the tape on that. So that's the defense. Obviously, a lot of disappointing moments, but I think it kind of stems from up front where just not enough impact from the defensive line, not enough negative plays, not enough pressure at all. Special teams, I think we have some good and some bad, I guess. Tyler Bass goes 2 for 2 on field goals. He hits from 24 and he hits from 49. And I think the 49-yard field goal was the wind obviously was a bit of a factor there. And so it wasn't like the most pure kick, but I can appreciate how he started it left and he was able to kind of get it inside that right upright. So he makes both of his field goals. And then it's interesting. We don't know what the strategy was on the kickoff play. I mean, the Bills had a bunch of touchbacks, and I'm not sure if it was Tyler Bass being told to put the ball as close to the goal line as possible or to kick touchbacks. I don't know what he was asked to do, but the Bills didn't get a ton of work in with their kickoff opportunities. And, you know, I guess at least none of them missed the landing zone, but the touchbacks being the 30-yard line, I mean, you don't want to just give teams that. Sam Martin, he punted the ball 6 times. I thought 4 times they were really good. He had 2 bad ones. One was a pure shank. Steve Tasker was talking a lot about the wind and how maybe the wind pushed it when he dropped it and it hit off his foot weird. And then another one, it just kind of felt like he got stuck up in the wind and it was a short punt. So 2 bad punts, 4 really good punts on a windy day in Western New York. As far as returners, I thought KJ Hamler had the one good return, but he mishandled a kickoff, right? So that was not great. Muffed it. And then Daquan Hardy gets his opportunity to serve as a punt returner. And one went out of bounds. One, I thought he did a good job of not fielding. But then he fielded that one inside the 5-yard line that was obviously going to be a touchback. And he fair catches inside the 5. I mean, this is the stuff, right? Like, this is the stuff you don't want to see. You want to see one of these kick returners, these punt returners, step in and do the right things. Take care of the football, make great decisions. And then as far as a return element, that's the cherry on top. But you got to be consistent with your decision-making. You got to take care of the football. And from the 2 primary contenders, Daquan Hardy and KJ Hamler, neither one did that. Both of them had a wart. I know it's a windy day. I don't know how much grace I'm supposed to have for that. But catch the ball. Don't fair catch inside the 5. Like, it's punt returning 101. A lot to work on. And I think from a coaching staff's perspective, I don't mean this sarcastically, but when you have this level of sloppy and issues, boy, does it give you a lot to work on, right? So you don't ever hope for this type of stuff to happen, but you want to talk about coachable moments and coachable opportunities. That game presented a myriad of those. And so this Bills coaching staff should eat their hearts out with this game tape and these results. And every one of these position groups has a ton of things that they need to work on. And so, again, the context of preseason is important. If you're freaking out over this game, please don't. That's not worth your emotional energy at all. It's preseason week 1. You want it to be different. It wasn't. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's preseason. It'll be okay. Big week for the Bills. They've got the Steelers this coming Saturday in the preseason joint practice before then, and a lot to clean up. Our next conversation, the All-22 review, it's going to be available for you on Monday, assuming I get the film as I'm supposed to on Sunday. So I'm going to spend Sunday breaking it down, and then our All-22 review coming your way on Monday. We'll get to herd mentality. We'll get ready for the Steelers, some high-level conversations, all kinds of things coming your way this week on Locked On Bills. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.